If it's on, then it's on. Who you gon' ride with? I've been through it all, I survived it. If we having real conversations, you can vibe with me. You know we lit, if you lit, we lit.
Welcome back to the On Switch, where we target valuable information for those out there to join this community of ours. We feel as though ownership is key. We got a nice guest today, my man Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
So I'm a firearms instructor. I've been doing this for about a good 5 or 7 years. How I got into this, I was an armed security officer since 2024. Doing that, always been passionate about guns ever since I, touched a gun and shot a gun. It's just always been my thing. It's something I've been into.
For those that don't know, I call him one shot, good shot Chris, man. He always had an eye for shooting, man. Y'all don't understand, but we grew up together, and we played basketball together,
Boys and
man.
Girls Club, that's crazy.
Boy stayed in the corner, and I tell you, we had a 3-point shot like that. So you having that 3-point shot now, looking down that barrel, it's kind of like the same thing.
I don't know. I guess it's just one of them things about blessed being left-handed. It's got me far. It helped me out a lot. So I do take pride in that.
That's what's up. So with the firearm instructor, let's go into a little bit more about that. Like, what's some of the documents that you need to bring?
Being a Maryland resident, just having a driver's license, things like that. Nothing in your background that would hinder you from, getting your concealed carry. There are some disqualifications. If you got felonies, maybe. Domestic violence charges, things like that. But it's just one of those things that, depending on what the situation is, you can always go talk to a lawyer or a judge to maybe get that pardoned, and get your rights restored back. So
how do you feel about that? Do you think there's something that's justable, or like is
I feel like fair? If you did do something, taking accountability for that. But I do feel like if you have served your time and rehabilitated, you get back out there, start doing the right thing, don't have any more issues or hiccups, I don't see why your rights can't, be restored.
I guess being on both sides of it, it is kind of like hard because, you got some people out here that they commit one crime, they commit 1,000 out of it.
I understand.
So at the same time.
So like I said, it'd be a case-by-case basis, just depending if you just a repeated, felon and things like that. But, for the most part, it's just about just doing the right thing, you know what I'm saying? And I try to reach the youth as quickly as possible because, the climate we in now, with no leadership or guidance, they just running wild out here. So
exactly. So with the license, how much does it cost?
So for Maryland, the license is going to be $125, and the renewal is going to be $75, and that'll be every 2 years. For DC, it'll be $75, and you have to renew every 2 years. For Utah, starting May 7th, the price is going up to, I believe it's $86, and the renewal fee is going up to $50.
So we're in April, y'all got 1 month. You say May what? May 7th?
May 7th, yeah. For Utah, the price is going up.
Y'all about to kick in and get it, man.
Right, get on that as quickly as possible. I think right now the price is $65. Yeah.
So what's some of the differences in the licenses? Is it just one or just a couple of them?
So they do have something. Trump's trying to put something in place now where if you do have a concealed carry in your state, your locale, then it will be good straight across the board, all across the United States. Which I think is good because if they did a background check on you in your home state, your background check is clean. Why would it hinder you from traveling from state to state if this is the United States, as a whole, from going state to state and not have to worry about getting jammed up or, pulled over saying that, oh, you're carrying a concealed carry weapon with no permit, just because you're out of state when you have the permit and went through the whole background check in your state. So I mean, it's just one of those things. But
So I got a lot of family and friends down in the South, man, and those boys down there, they getting it different, man.
Yeah. Down in the South, it's always South has always been different. Texas, Georgia, places like that. The license, a lot of states is permanent carry now. So as long as you're of age, things like that, you can conceal carry or whatever, or open carry. And at the end of the day, that's your Second Amendment right. The right to bear arms.
I think I never paid attention as much up here like I did down there. But man, they be having gun shows like every week.
Yeah, every week. Yeah.
And you don't have
Virginia. Virginia. Virginia's Commonwealth. So Virginia, they do have a lot of gun shows. A lot of times I go there to Dulles Expo. They have a lot of gun shows. They just had one. So up and down Virginia, Richmond, all
it's kind of the same as down south. Okay, because I know down there you don't have to have a gun license. You just have to have a license to that state. And then if you get pulled over, if the firearm is in the glove box and the magazine not in it, the police will look at it, probably admire your gun and put it back.
So a lot of times, like in Maryland and places like that, if you don't have your concealed carry license, then the safe way or legal way to travel with it is to have your gun unloaded, locked away in the lockbox in your trunk, and your ammunition should be separate, like in your armrest or your glove compartment, locked away. And the reason being is so, let's say worst case scenario, you get into a situation where you had to use your firearm and you don't have your concealed carry license. They want to see, well, what did you do? How did you end up shooting this person in that situation? So it's just one of those things of some people, they, kind of scared of guns and things like that. But I always tell them, it's just a tool that you have. God forbid you ever get into a situation to protect your life or your family member's life from imminent danger, meaning somebody's in an act of trying to cause seriously bodily harm or death to you. So I think guns do get a bad, stigma with them. But right now, if we was to place a gun right on this table and none of us touched it, gun wouldn't do any harm to anybody, So I think they need to do a lot more about the mental state of, individuals and things like that or whatever. So
definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. So what's some of the details in the test? Like what's some of the things that you have to go through?
So I guess every instructor is different. Some instructors, they might have a test, they might give you a class per se. And then like for Maryland and DC, you have to take a 16-hour class to be able to get your concealed carry license. So during that class, you'll be going over a lot of stuff. Firearm safety, which is going to be the number one most important thing. Anytime you're handling a firearm, they'll probably go over the fundamentals of shooting, things like that. And then they might give you maybe a 10-question test at the end just to see if you're retaining the information that was just taught to you. And then probably a proficiency test, which everybody has to go to when you go to the range and just, shoot.
So what's some of the things that you like to teach newcomers and beginners?
I always like teaching newcomers because when it comes to somebody that doesn't have any experience, at least you don't know they don't have any bad habits. So a lot of times, people react what they see on TV, Hollywood, pointing a gun and bringing it back here, pointing it under their chin and things like that. And you never want to point a firearm at anything you don't intend to shoot or whatever. So, pointing at yourself, somebody else, things like that. These are a lot of bad habits that people may have, maybe the way they properly hold the gun or grip the gun. So all those are things that will have to be fixed, but with a newcomer, you just show them the right way to do things or whatever. And, they can just take it from there. But I tell everybody, when it comes to shooting, it's a skill, just like any skill you may have, whether you're a barber, painter, artist.
It's like that 3-point shot.
Exactly, yeah. If you don't practice that skill, over time it will diminish. Hold
on, one time. Let's get into this. You still got that jumper?
Hey, look, I haven't touched a basketball in years, but I can assure you, after I shoot about a good 5 shots, I guarantee it'll come back. I'm just a natural, man. I'm just blessed when it comes to using this left hand right here. So, I think I need to get this hand insured.
I could attest for him. He's definitely had a good job. What did you think about my game when we was coming up?
Oh shit, I love your game, man. I remember when we was playing or whatever, you used to run the point or whatever. Like, man, I used to love that, bro. Like, you always looked at you as like a Ross Strickland, like the way you handle the ball and all that.
So Gilly, don't get it fucked up. I'll bust your ass, Gilly. But back to this shooting, this type of shooting. So you say you teach newcomers, you try to see if they got any bad habits, and then you just change it.
Right,
Change it
and it don't matter what the age limit. I mean, I had clients maybe up in their 70s, 80s, down to maybe teenagers.
So that's something I wouldn't have thought about. Like somebody like of
it don't matter what age. It don't matter what age.
So what kind of the differences that you see within younger people and older folks?
Typically, you would think that somebody more up in age would be a little bit more frightful. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think it just all depends on the person. You know what I'm saying?
I live my life. I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you might get some older folks that they might. I've been shooting a gun since I was,
I just gotta get a license through you.
Exactly, yeah. And then you might get some young people or the younger generation where they might shoot a gun and thinking like because they seen somebody else do it, it's easy, and then they shoot and they like, oh my gosh, like this, I ain't ready for this or whatever. But it doesn't matter to me, male, female, what age limit. And I know growing up, especially in the Black community, when it came to guns and stuff like that, our parents was always like, oh, you better not be around no guns, don't touch no guns. But, I always tell people, what you don't teach your kids, somebody else is going to teach them. So when you look at that or think about that, it's like, even as an adolescent, at a young age, if you introduce your kids to firearms, let them know, hey, this is not a toy. If you see anybody touching this, let them know this is not how you do this, proper way of doing things, and just teach them how to use it. You never know. Like, say you have a 7 or 8 year old, right, in your house. I mean, at the end of the day, you as a parent know your child, know the responsibility of your child, level of your child. So it's just one of those things when you feel comfortable introducing your children. But I would say the earlier the better, because if you just keep something from them, let's say that maybe in middle school, they get around a group of people and maybe a gun owner left their gun out and about, or the kid just so happened to know their parents, code to their safe, and now they all over their house after school one day playing around with it, and then negligence happens. Exactly. Yep.
So going back to the youth and knowing, like, back in the day when we were coming up, how we had to stay away from guns. Well, you think it was more so because of the danger that they didn't want us to get in trouble for us with the law?
Yeah, I think a lot of things that, us dealing with Black people, the way we go about doing things is because of back from slavery time, things that, weren't even, we weren't even allowed to do, saying, or had the rights to even do. So a lot of things is kind of like just from that place of being scared. Well, don't do this or don't do that or whatever. Because we're always looked at as a threat anyway. Even without a gun. Just the color of your skin. So it does go back to that or whatever like that.
So you said you've been doing a firearm instructor for how many years?
Yeah, good 5 or 7 years. Yeah.
So what were you doing right before you got into firearms?
So I was doing security, working 12-hour shifts, sitting on post, and I just felt like I was sitting on so much potential. And a lot of that was due to basically the fear, not feeling like I was good enough or not knowing the direction I was going into. And that's when I met, this young lady, my girl, Shia Simmons, in Chi-Town.
Miss Chi-Town, how you doing, baby?
She helped me out a lot when it came to fear. One thing she did tell me was, when you see fear, run towards it, because on the other side of that is success. Okay. And, I can attest to that, since I got over that fear, within this short amount of time that I've been doing this, I became, very successful at it.
That's a beautiful thing. Behind every strong man is a powerful woman. Thank you.
So I remember it was one of our anniversaries. One of the gifts she got me, it was for me to go to a firearms class, you know,
okay.
and she was like, you know, I don't know if you're gonna be offended by this because I know you know how to shoot, but you know, I always told her, you know, I'm a student of the game. You know, anything I can learn from somebody, I'm all for it. That's gonna help better me in the direction I'm trying to go. And that's when I met Ron David. You know, and he's been my mentor. You know, I started taking off of work, taking classes with him, getting certified.
So that's the one who
helped certify me. Yep. So when I met him, you know, he basically asked me what I was trying to do, you know, and I told him, you know, I want to be a firearms instructor.
And while you while you working?
Yeah, this is why I was doing security. Yep. This is why I was doing security. So I would take off some days or whatever because I was like, you know, I got to a point where it's like, I'm going to invest in myself. You know, I'm going to put me first instead of, you know, a company or something else that's not serving me.
And see, that's real big right there, because some like for our listeners out there, a lot of times they have opportunities right there in front of their faces, and we just don't, us as people, we just don't take on the opportunities.
Is that fear?
So when you have that's a good opportunity that he had, that was a gift to him, and you took on the gift, and then you went further with it.
And she could tell you, I took off running ever since I met him. Taking classes back to back, you know, come home telling her. I remember the first day when I had the class with him, I done bought outfit, you know what I'm saying? I had the vest, you know, all that. So, you know, me, I always been the type of person, like when I'm about to do something, I like to prepare for it. You know, I like to be ready. That's one thing my dad, you know, instilled in me. Like he said, you know, when there's something you're trying to do, having the right tools for that, it just makes the job that much more easier. You know what I'm saying? So, just doing your homework. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So ever since you got into firearms, dealing with the instructor and everything, so you moved right on into training other people.
Yep. So right after I was doing my business for a while, and then that's when I started applying to you know, firearms instructor jobs. And I never been the type to be good in, I guess, interviews and stuff like that. And a lot of that was probably just based off of the lack of confidence, you know, not really knowing and things like that. So I remember the first time, you know, I applied, I was kind of like stumbling, wasn't really sure because I really didn't have the information, you know what I'm saying, or really know, you know, anything really about the firearms instructor side as far as from a company aspect, you know what I'm saying? So, and what they was looking for. And then after that, the first time I got turned down, you know, it was kind of a little discouraging because, like I said, I'm trying to get out of security.
You kept pushing.
Yep. So another job offer came about. You know, I applied to that.
Right.
And I feel like I did a lot better. And I remember she told me, she was like, you know, you did better than the first time, but she was like, you still, you know, need to get a little better with that when it comes to like interviews and stuff like that. And she said, but you are going to get the job. And I was like, all right, cool.
Right.
And I remember it was on the weekend and we were coming back from the store and we was driving, and, you know, that's when he called me or whatever. And he said, you know, I just want to let you know, well, two things. He's like, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to just go ahead and give it to you. He said, first, I want to let you know you do have the job. So right then, that feeling, I felt like it brought tears to my eyes, man, because, you know, it was like, damn, like, I really invested in this and I really took a leap of faith and did this and it worked out for me or whatever. And he was like, second, I'm going to let you know, I seen you in the hall the other day, you know, when you came to training, because mind you, this is the same company that I worked for as a security officer, going to the academy that, you know, now I'm a firearms instructor at. And the deputy director of training, he said, he saw me in the hallway. He said, I'll be honest with you, you know, when you come to work, just try to trim your beard up. I'm not saying you got to cut it, but, you know, you look like you just came out of Afghanistan, because I'll be honest with you, when I was on post, I was depressed at work because, you know, I just kind of like let myself go. You know, when you're not happy in life and things aren't going, you know, the way you want them to go, you just stop caring. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I was at, you know, at that point in my life when it came to security, just going to work every day, you know, dealing with that and just sitting on all this talent I had, but just letting that fear take over me. So, you know, it got to depression or whatever. But ever since I got that call, and started that job, man, it's been a life changer.
Okay.
Yep. So I
Okay.
go to work every day, love doing what I'm doing,
Right.
passionate about what I'm doing and things like that. So it's been a blessing.
So what do you feel about ownership, like having your own business and doing?
Oh man, like I tell everybody, when it comes to owning something or being your own boss, that's going to be the biggest blessing that you can ever give yourself.
Right.
I tell everybody, when you invest all your time and energy into something outside of yourself, you're giving that person or that thing control over you to say, how to do this or when to do that. Kind of like, you having your own podcast now. If you were working for somebody else, you wouldn't really have the say-so of what direction you want to go, what topics you want to talk about. But, when it's yours, sky's the limit, and companies and corporations, they kind of put like a cap on it, like where you can only make this amount of money or you can only, go about doing this. This is the structure we want you to go
vacation.
by. Exactly. All that, got to put in leave to, live your life or whatever. But when you're your own boss, you live by your own rules, and that's the biggest blessing at all. But, you just got to be able to get out there and know that you're good enough to take it as far as you want to take it.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you got to that point when you was like, firearm instructor, this is exactly what I wanted to do. What really turned that switch on for you?
So, I mean, like back when I was doing security, like every time I would go to training, I always was just passionate about the training aspect of it, no matter what we were doing. It was just the training side, being hands-on. I'm hands-on when it comes to things. So I kind of liked that and enjoyed that. So I used to always ask the instructor for all the security companies I ever worked for, how do you get into this? Or how do you go about doing this? And I feel like being a firearm instructor is one of those things that was always gate kept. At some point, it was like, kind of like you always seen the older guys doing it. They didn't really want to let you know how to get into it or anything like that.
A whole bunch of gatekeepers up there.
Yeah, it was. To now, I think that now you see it's a lot of different instructors out there. But at the end of the day, you have to live by what's meant for you is going to be for you. You know what I'm saying? So, if I was scared saying, oh, well, it's when every time I go to range, I see 5 or 6 other instructors there, they'll kind of make you nervous. Like, I mean, when you show off yourself and you confident, you know what you have to offer and bring to the table, you can walk in front of a room of 100 instructors and know that, hey,
I saw you show off yesterday when you done something like this.
Oh yeah, I was showing the girl because like she was basically, when she was holding the firearm, she was kind of like over gripping it to the point to where the gun was already shaking, so it's kind of hard to keep your sights aligned. So I was just letting her know that, with 2 fingers, you can shoot the gun and still be accurate without it.
I was back there watching. I said, what the hell? I said, what are you on, some movie stuff I can turn that door to the side.
So this is one of the things I just show the students that, you can still shoot the gun without, thinking it's going to jump out your hand. Because a lot of times people, that recoil, once you fire that shot, you thinking that, oh, it's going to jump out my hand if I don't have a death grip on it. But, it's not that much recoil to where.
My fault for acting like I was a natural yesterday.
Oh, no. You was good. Yeah, you did good. Yeah, you did good.
I ain't want to act like I was a natural man. But,
I mean, that's how I felt, when I first started shooting. I remember the guy named was Chris Kleitz when my first security company that I worked for. Okay. He was an ex-police officer, and he taught me how to shoot. This is back when they were shooting revolvers, for security. And that's what I learned how to shoot on. And ever since then, once he showed me the fundamentals, same fundamentals I apply to this day. Nothing's changed. And I remember even in that class, my first time shooting, he was using me to like demonstrate. So it's kind of like one of those things. I feel like when you're passionate about something, when you dream about this day all the time, when it happens, it just becomes second nature to you. Like me, I always been into motorcycles too. So before I even learned how to ride a motorcycle, I remember the first day I bought my motorcycle, one of my friends I grew up with, he actually had to drive the motorcycle home. I'm like, dang, I just bought this motorcycle and I don't even know how to drive it because it's been so long since I took the class, at PG to actually do, learn how to ride the motorcycle. And, that was like, maybe 7-8 years later when I finally bought a motorcycle. So he drove it home for me. But, once we got it home, he took me to a parking lot, just showed me the little bases again, had me riding around the parking lot. And then I took it out on the main road a couple times. And then, I drove it from Upper Marlboro to, District Heights, and after that, it was just one of those things that it just came natural to me.
So what's some of the joy that you have after seeing a client coming in real tensed up, not really knowing what they're doing, to them about to sign their papers and still coming back to shoot with you?
Oh man, it's a pleasure. Like I told her yesterday, because me lately I've been just so consumed with work, training the students and things like that. But doing my own thing and getting out there, I told her, I said, I just feel rejuvenated. It's a sense of like energy. I feel energized when I'm investing in myself and helping and teaching, and inspiring somebody else to, come along and learn something new or whatever. And I always get compliments from the students at work, my clients, oh, you're a good teacher. I like how you teach, things like that. So that's what is basically inspires me to keep going or whatever. And, when I was going through this whole instructor thing, I used to see instructors yelling at people, oh, do this, do that, do that. And I always felt like, the way you talk to people, you can't really get nothing out of that person, especially if they're already scared and fearful. You yelling at them, that's not going to make
my parents yell at me, so
exactly.
Somebody yell at me, I get blockheaded. I was like, I ain't hearing
it's just one of the things you can just have patience and just stay calm, relax.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you can get more out of a person when you just lay back, relax, constantly encouraging and things like that.
So what's some of the where people can get in contact with you at?
So they can get on contact me on Instagram, Prince_Hamner, or my actual firearms page, which is freedom_arm_in_Hamner. Yep. So that's my business, Freedom Arm to Hamner. Okay. Also, they can check out my YouTube channel, same thing, Freedom Arm to Hamner. They can get in contact me that way as well.
So you have a whole bunch of videos of you teaching.
Yeah, I just started my YouTube channel. I have some basic cleaning, how to clean a handgun, shotgun, things like that. As far as the fundamentals, talk about safety, all those good things. So
because breaking it down, that's very important too.
Yeah, cleaning your firearms. So it's kind of like anything you have, you got to keep the maintenance up on it, because the maintenance that you give and care you give to your firearm, it could be the difference in a life or death situation.
Yeah, back in the day, man, I remember all the old school guys, man, they used to break their guns down, clean them with WD-40.
Oh, yeah,
that's like one of the worst things to do, man.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's just to basically keep it oiled and things like that. But, as time goes on, we start to advance. They come out with better products, things that you can do and things like that. But at the end of the day, when you're inexperienced or just don't have the knowledge to know how to properly do something, you just doing whatever you got to do.
I had to go in the attic and give him a grandfather shotgun. He probably hold that joint up. He'll get stuck on me, man. I tell somebody get out the house, they be like, you ain't gonna shoot that thing.
Yep. So they fall apart on you.
Right. So WD-40, that was okay? I want to make sure my uncles knew what they was doing, man.
They probably just sprayed it out, like I said, to keep it lubricated or whatever like that. But
so that would
they have other things that you can use. COP, which probably be a little bit better.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
at the end of the day, Uncle Charles, you almost fucked me up, man.
Whatever you got, that's what you got. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's better than nothing.
Okay. Okay. So now that you're into this entity that you in, how do you feel about growing even more?
Like I said, sky's the limit. I plan on taking this as far as I want to take it, and just like I said, being a student of the game, constantly evolving and things like that. That's what it's all about, evolving. It's just different avenues that you can take and go through in life or whatever, depending on whatever it is you're into or you're doing or whatever. Don't just stay stagnant or stay in that comfortability because, one thing about when you're just comfortable, you're not really growing. So sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to grow. And a lot of times people feel like, oh, when it's something new, they might be scared or it might not be a comfortable space for them. So they might not want to take chances. But, when it comes to having your own business, you got to take those chances. You know what I'm saying? And just do what you got to do, and you'll be successful.
You think staying in the same states that you're in, or just working at Utah license is good?
I mean, I feel like, oh, you mean as far as like just physically staying in the DC area?
Yeah.
I mean,
teaching.
Oh, teaching? No, I plan on being big to the point where I get to a point where I'm traveling, teaching all over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need a building, or I can teach this outside, I can teach it anywhere once you have the knowledge. So, I plan on, being able to travel and teach. That would be a dream. Okay. You know what I'm saying? To be able to do that. Yep.
That's what's up. So that's it for today. My man Chris right here.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure, man. I appreciate you, man.
Clean shot Chris, man. I'm telling you, man, that left hand yeah, man, got me assist today, man. It's a pleasure, man.
Brother.
Thanks a lot for being here,
it, man.
coming,
Yes,
man.
sir.
And definitely getting out there yesterday and showing me a little bit, man. I ain't get to do that one,
Yeah,
but
man, you get some time, man.
yeah.
You come on out.
Okay.
Yeah. Show you some more stuff.
All right.
Shoot the rifle, shoot the shotgun. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yep.
So y'all know how to get in touch with Chris whenever y'all need them lessons. He good for DC, Maryland,
VA, Utah. Yes, sir.
We'll be back at you with the On Switch.
We lit, we live. Good vibes, good vibes. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. We lit, we live. Good vibes, good vibes. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe.